Hi, and welcome back to this week's Parsha Shir on Sefer Maayan Beit Hashoeva. Twice in this week's Parsha of Vaera, Moshe repeats to HaKadosh Baruch Hu his reluctance to go and speak to Paro because of his speech impediment. Moshe says towards the beginning of the Parsha, after Hashem tells him the Arba Lashonas Geula, after he goes and tries to report that to the Jewish people, and after the Jewish people don't listen, because seruach ume'avodah kasha, because of their shortness of spirit and the difficulty of their work, Hashem says to Moshe, now go to Paro and say the same thing, so that he can release the Jewish people. And Moshe's response to Hashem is, Hey, the Jewish people didn't listen to me, and how will Paro listen to me? After all, I have a speech impediment. Ani aral sfatayim. A little bit later, after Hashem says, no, it's Avim al Bnei Yisrael, Hashem speaks to Moshe again and commands him to go to Paro and to Bnei Yisrael to release the Jewish people. Moshe Rabbeinu says again, Vayomer Moshe lifnei Hashem, Heinani aral sfatayim ve'echi shma elai Paro. What are you doing to me? How could I go to Paro? Ani aral sfatayim, I have this speech impediment. How will Paro listen to me? So I have two questions on these series of psukim. First of all, the first question is on the first pasuk itself, and specifically on Rashi's comment on the pasuk. Rashi mentions and notes over here that Zeh echad me'asar kal v'chomer shebat Torah. According to the Medrash, this pasuk, Hein b'nei Yisrael lo shamu elai ve'echi shma'ini Paro, is one of the 10 examples of a kal v'chomer in the Torah. So a kal v'chomer, which is the a fortiori argument, means that I'm going to argue something based on the following logic. If there's a leniency that's true in the strict case, then the leniency should be all that much more true in the lenient case. If there's a strictness of the lenient case, then that strictness should be all that much more true of the strict case. So in this case, Moshe uses that argument to say, Bnei Yisrael are the low-hanging fruit. Bnei Yisrael are the ones who want to be saved, who are waiting to be saved, who have every reason to listen to me and to want to leave Mitzrayim and to bring the Geula. And they didn't listen to me, so if in that case they didn't listen to me, it's all the more so that Paro's not going to listen to me. Why would Paro want to release his slaves? So if it was true, if my failure was true in the simple case, my failure will be all that much more true in the strict case. That's what Rashi says over here. So the Rav Schwab has an interesting question on this Rashi, based on other Rishonim who raised the same question. Hikshua Rishonim. A kal v'chomer, which is one of the logical principles that Hashem gave us to derive understanding of the Torah, is not true if there's a reason why the two cases are different. The lenient case and the strict case have to be identical cases for the kal v'chomer to work. The fact over here that the Torah spells out why Bnei Yisrael didn't listen, they didn't listen because they had kotzer ruach or me'avodah kasha, and Paro doesn't have kotzer ruach avodah kasha. You can't make a logical inference between the two cases. You can't extrapolate from the case of Bnei Yisrael to the case of Paro and say, if this is true, this is all that much more true, when there was a particular reason why this was true over here, and that reason doesn't exist by Paro. So that's point number one. V'chein, im nefarish kotzer ruach kedivrei Chazal. This is even more true if we interpret the reason given by the Torah, kotzer ruach avodah kasha, the way Chazal do in the Mechilta. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Omer, v'chiyesh lecha adam shu misbaser besora tova ve'eno sameach, Rabba motzio lecherus ve'eno sameach. Why would they not listen? What does kotzer ruach avodah kasha mean? Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira says, is it possible that anyone will get news that they're going to will get positive news, good news, and they won't be happy? If someone's going to get news that their master is freeing them, they're not going to be happy? Of course they're going to be happy. Why wouldn't Jewish people listen here? No matter how bad the circumstance was, why couldn't they hear the fact that they were going to be freed? Of course, there are many answers to that question, but on a simple level, the Medrash says, "Im ken lama ne'emar v'lo shamu Moshe, ela shaya kasha b'neihem lifrosh me'avodah zara." No, kotzer ruach me'avodah kasha means it was difficult for them to listen to the message of Geula, of freedom, not because they were steeped in difficult work, but they were so steeped in the culture of Egypt. They were so connected to avodah zara and idolatry that they couldn't even fathom the idea of being free and non-idolaters, of going towards the scene of Matan Torah and accepting the Torah. So if that's true, that's certainly a reason that only pertains to Bnei Yisrael and not to Paro. So this destroys the Kal Vachomer. Kal Vachomer is a logical halachic principle, one of the hermeneutical principles of the Torah, and it only works when the two cases are comparable. This reason given by the Torah for Bnei Yisrael's lack of listening destroys the ability to have a Kal Vachomer. So has Rashi claim that there's a Kal Vachomer over here? It's true because not the entire Jewish people was actually steeped in slavery. They also were not only not enslaved, but they also didn't worship idolatry, which is why also later at the scene of Chet HaEgel, they don't participate in that idolatry either. We also know they were circumcised the entire time they were in Egypt. They were very different than the rest of the Jewish people. If So, why didn't the Zakanim, the elders, who certainly weren't steeped in idolatry, and the Shevet Levi, we know, were not steeped in idolatry, why didn't they listen to Moshe? When the Jewish people reject Moshe, it meant the entire Jewish people, Shevet Levi, the Zakanim, Yisraelim, everybody. So why wouldn't the Shevet Levi and the Zakanim at least listen to Moshe Rabbeinu if the whole reason why the Jewish people weren't listening is because they were steeped in idolatry, and that reason didn't apply to Shevet Levi and to the Zakanim? It's not from the entirety of the Jewish people not listening that he derived the Kal Vachomer, a logical argument about why Paro wouldn't listen, but specifically from Shevet Levi and the Zakanim, the fact that they didn't listen, and there's no reason of Kotzer Ruach and Mu'avad Akasha that pertains to them. If that's true, then we can actually make a logical inference and say if the Zakanim and Shevet Levi didn't listen, then all the more so Paro will not listen either. That's the explanation that he gives over here. I think it's an interesting one. Really a question more on Rashi than on the Pasuk, a question on Moshe's logic in this case, and a question really that pertains to more of a halachic principle of Kal Vachomer. So now fast forwarding to my second question, which is really one that's posed here as well by the Maayan Beit Hashoeva. Rav Schwab says, Yesh la'ayin lichora, hi ha'amira sha'amar l'mala. When you look at the second pasuk, in pasuk Lamed, Vayomer Moshe lifnei Hashem heinan eros v'tayim ve'ech nishma elai Paro. After I was speech impediment, how is Paro going to listen to me? Seems to be a repetitive pasuk. It was already stated. Moshe Rabbeinu said that in pasuk Yud Beis earlier on, about 20 psukim earlier. So why the repetition of the pasuk? Lama chazar od hapam al dibur zeh. Furthermore, od yesh lahavin. Shila'el amar Kal Vachomer. Hein b'nei Yisrael lo shemu elai ve'ech yishmeini Paro. V'chan amar rak hein ani aras v'tayim. The two cases where Moshe mentions this phrase are actually different. In the first case, he says, hey, Bnei Yisrael didn't listen to me, all the more so Paro is not going to listen. In the second case, the repetition of the phrase, he never mentions Bnei Yisrael, he never mentions the logical a fortiori argument, he never mentions the Kal Vachomer, he just goes straight into the fact, Paro is not going to listen to me. So why the difference in these two utterances? Hine hi'ir harav hanetziv v'emek davar al amiras Moshe Rabbeinu hein ani aras v'tayim harei kvar amar la'el ki kvad peh ukvad lashon anochi. So he says, I'm going to answer this by showing you a commentary of the Netziv who asks an even broader question. I'm asking a limited question here in our Parsha why Moshe repeats these two phrases which are almost identical, which are only 20 psukim apart. And why does he change the phrasing of it? Well, the Netziv asks a broader question. Why does he mention Aral Sfatayim as speech impediment at all over here, when I thought that this whole issue was resolved? In last week's Parsha of Shemos, Moshe, the reluctant leader, says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how could you send me to free the Jewish people? Ki kvad peh v'kvad lashon anochi. I have a speech impediment. V'amar la HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so Hashem answered that question. Mi sam peh le'adam. Who gives the person, a human being, the ability to speak? I do, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I tell you can speak. I tell you can accomplish it. I tell you you're going on this shlichus, on this mission. Then you're going, whether you think you're capable of not. So why here in the next week's Parsha does Moshe return to the same argument? I thought that issue was resolved. Moshe goes on to accept the leadership despite his speech impediment. Now he raises the issue again. Why is it reappearing over here? V'tirates, and then Netziv explains and says, Shediber Moshe beino lebein atzmo bifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu kalashon hakasuv vayedaber Moshe lifnei Hashem lemor. These two instances in our Parsha of Moshe saying that he has a speech impediment and no one's going to listen to him are not speeches that he says to Hashem. He's not arguing with Hashem and saying, hey, God, don't send me. I have a speech impediment. That was last week's Parsha. That was taken care of. Hashem told him you'll be able to speak. Mi sam pel adam. I give every human the ability to speak. I'm giving you the ability to speak. Go and do it. No. Netziv says over here, Moshe was saying this to himself. The Torah is revealing to us a little sidebar of what's going on in Moshe Rabbeinu's mind as Hashem is telling him to go and free the Jewish people and speak to Paro, despite the fact that the Jews hadn't listened to him, hadn't listened to the Arba Lashonos Geula. And then it proves it from the language of the Pasuk. Both instances in our Parsha where Moshe mentions his speech impediment say that he mentions this Lifnei Hashem. He says it in front of Hashem. And again, later on, in both psukim, the word lifnei is mentioned. Over here, the Netziv says that he wasn't speaking to Hashem, he was just speaking in front of Hashem. As Moshe was standing face to face with Hashem, he says to himself, hey, heinani aras v'tayim ve'ech yishma elai paro. How are the Jewish people? How is Paro going to listen to me if the Jewish people didn't even listen? Moshe questions his own abilities to himself. So it seems that Moshe was not arguing with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this case, but simply questioning his own abilities. And so the Maayan Beit Hashoeva says that after the first instance, after he says, he gives the logical inference in front of Hashem. He's saying it to himself in his head. The very next pasuk is Vayedaber Hashem Moshe ve'Aaron Vayitzavim al bnei Yisrael. Hashem commands him. Hashem knows what's going on in Moshe's mind. He reads his mind. He understands that he's questioning his own abilities. He says to him, no, you can do it. Vayitzavim, I'm commanding you to go. Go and do this. I know you can accomplish this. Now Moshe Rabbeinu hears a little bit more from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the whole genealogy, in 20 psukim later, 18 psukim later, he says the same thing. He's wondering in his head, okay, maybe the Kal Vachomer is not true, maybe I shouldn't extrapolate, maybe fine. But the fact is, I still have a speech impediment. How's Paro going to listen to me? This time, Hashem's response is not Vayitzavim, but rather, Vayomer Hashem al Moshe, Re'ei nesaticha Elokim leparo, ve'aron achicha yeh neviecha. I am sending you to Paro one way or the other, and if you want, I'll send Aaron to be your mouthpiece, to be your aid. What really Hashem was saying to him over here is, you had an argument with me in last week's Parsha. Can I really go? I have a speech impediment. I told you, yes, you're going to go. I give speech to Adam. And fine, you accepted that. You don't argue with me anymore. Now I see that in your own head, you're still replaying this whole scene. You're still replaying your speech impediment. You still lack the confidence to go. So I'm going to give you the confidence. That's what Hashem does the first time. He reacts as V'yitzavim. No, Moshe, you can do it. I'm commanding you to go. I have confidence in you. You should have confidence in yourself. When Hashem sees even that doesn't work, Moshe is still doubting himself, he gives him Aaron as an aid. And what I think he's doing there is not acquiescing to Moshe's lack of self-confidence, but rather explaining to him that sometimes you need a little help from the outside. Sometimes to build your self-confidence, you need someone by your side who can push you, who can be there to help you in a case where you falter, in a case where you're not sure of yourself. And that itself can be a help to push you to gain the confidence in yourself and in your own skills and your own abilities that you need. Hashem both tries to encourage him from the outside, and then when that doesn't work, tries to give him a little bit more support in his brother by his side. We all have moments where we lack the self-confidence to go forward, where we question our own abilities and our own capacity to be successful in a specific endeavor. And we also have to gain encouragement from others on the outside. And sometimes when encouragement is not enough to lead us there and to get us to that point, sometimes we need a little bit of a crutch, a little bit of a hand-holding, a little bit of aid from the outside to help us get over that threshold and gain the confidence at least 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, so that the 4th time we can perhaps go at it ourselves with a greater measure of confidence. Shabbat Shalom.